Okay, this is Superman. Okay, go right into the marker drawing. I do want to keep up with the marker drawing over the next year or so, but I don't want to invest too much. Some markers like sharpies are the cheapest one to have. And these are the cheapest. Unless you're going for the more expensive brush pen. And I'd like to have my sketch made so I know where lines are, so I don't make too many mistakes, and this stage. It'll go fairly easy after this. Don't really even need a digital tablet if you just want to do stuff like this. That's how I do my shading. Marks. Depends on what kind of a brush you have as well. I'll get different width. But for his eyes, I do need a very fine brush there, but I don't have one. I need some heavy shading here, some rigs. I could try to get a drawing table specifically for this. I had one. This one's dying. Tape. But I have this light box now. Markers can be expensive too, so goes with art, not really animation. Try to get some of his muscle before this dies out. Smaller marker tips will die out quicker, but you'll get more of a cleaner line with them. See if I can get his eyes have very small. Kind of fun to do faces like this. And this is RM. I'm not going to show very well. Comics. I need a stronger shadow. I would have to get another marker. Somewhere here. tape as well. Worn out markers, you get a little bit of tone shading, so don't quite throw them out. You get a second tone in there. Very light. You need to do something like that. Didn't really get into inking, but marker drawing is quite fun. Inking, ink and brush is a whole nother level for comic drawing. Something you would have to get more control over, and this is enough for me right now to learn this kind of drawing, which I want to keep up my sketches. And I might get a couple more markers for this specifically, but I don't want to get into the $10, $15 markers like Copics and stuff. So, or those fine tip brushes, or like you see the artists use. They're like $10 a piece, so, and they only good for maybe 1-2 sketches, and it's really hard to use them over a sketch, so you would have to do it over a second sheet of paper, because it doesn't pick up those really fine tip markers. If you're drawing over an existing sketch, it doesn't really pick up too well. One thing I learned with those. So yeah, and I could go into, if you have watercolor, you could go into watercolor, give it a color, but you probably need to do it on watercolor paper. So some ideas if you need to fill out your sketchbook, and then you could cut them out and just buy a sketchbook that's big enough to hold longer paper. Don't really have to cut it down too much, because I tried to make his head a little bit bigger, so the longer paper helps. Instead of having the standard sketchbook paper, which is about half the size, you won't get the whole figure in. The head will be like really small. So that's why that drawing loose like this helps. But for school, they like to see stuff in sketchbooks, so you have to try to present it that way. If you're applying to animation, you don't need a sketchbook, but to other art courses you do. So thanks for watching. I ended up taking up fine arts, by the way, so